You ready, cuz?
I'm ready.
Let's do this.
Insightful conversations with SNL. Let's go. What's up? What's up? What's up?
We're back again. Good to see you all.
Yes, good seeing you. We are back at it again with the Back at It Again for an all new episode of Insightful Conversations with SNL. And while y'all are watching this, make sure to go ahead and click the like button on this. Go ahead and subscribe to our channel if y'all haven't already done so. And also go ahead and follow us on all major audio podcast platforms. And like always, we're going to remind you again towards the end of the episode, just in case you forget. But for all of our newer viewers and even returning viewers and listeners, let's go ahead and introduce ourselves. I am your girl, Shnequia, aka S.
And I am your girl, Lakesha, aka L.
And together we are Insightful Conversations with SNL. So, Lakeisha, how's your week been going so far?
So far, so good. It's been a little topsy turvy in some areas, but other than that, I made it. So no complaints on this end. How about yourself, cuz? How has your week been thus far?
It's been good. Again, like I always say, always glad to be in the number one more time.
Amen.
It's been a very good weekend, got a chance to hang out with some friends and kind of relax. So happy about that. Can't
Yeah.
believe that this is like starting the last week of February.
Yes, 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 yes,
This
yes.
month like literally flew by.
Flew by. And just to think, like in about several weeks, spring will be here. So we'll be in a
Yeah.
new season, not only in the earth, but just in general. So looking forward to all things new and cleaning and dusting some things, getting some things out of our lives and getting prepared for the newness that we're getting ready to behold.
Hey, I'm all for it. New beginnings, spring
Yes.
cleaning. Yes, yes.
Yes.
Bring it on. Warm weather. How about that?
Yes. Yes.
Yes, bring it on. Bring it on. Okay, well, if there's nothing else, we can go ahead and start off our episodes like we do every time with what we call buzzworthy
Buzzworthy
topics.
topics.
So, Lakeisha, what has been buzzworthy in your week?
Oh man. So I don't know if you all have heard, but for those of you all who may be avid shoppers or you frequent Family Dollar, you may want to rethink that in the coming weeks or so. The reason being the FDA has recalled several products at various Family Dollar stores around the United States due to rodent infestation. Some
Mm-hmm.
of the states that have been affected by the rodent infestation include Alabama, Mississippi, Missouri, as well as some other states and things of that nature. So when they went into the plant, like I said, they found a lot of just rodent fecal matter, dead animals, rodents, urine, and things like that. And this stuff was all over products that these stores sell. And so some of the products that are being recalled are over counter medicine, cosmetic products like makeup, even hygiene products, and so on and so forth. And so, like I said, if you live, or even if you're in the area visiting some of the states that I mentioned, please, please, please be very, very careful and things of that nature. Like I said, if you purchase those products between January and February in the states of Alabama, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Missouri, and Tennessee, just for your safety as well as your family's safety, please do not utilize those products. So I just thought that was very, very disturbing just because a lot of those stores, Shnequia, they are located in low income communities. So a lot of our communities, as far as in the Black community, those consumers are going to be affected by this. And so just wanted to bring attention and awareness to this topic and or situation. What about you, cuz? What's Buzzworthy in your neck of the woods?
Well, unless you was living under a rock, last Sunday was Super Bowl Sunday. And,
Yes.
there was a little bit of a concert and a football game, because that's what I was here for, the halftime show. So the halftime show was everything to
It
me. I
was.
loved it. Because, this is like the first time in history that they had an all hip hop
Yes.
halftime show. And I'm hoping that it won't be the last, but it was everything to me. I loved it. My favorite performances, loved Mary J. Blige.
Yes.
Loved. Let me tell you, her body is sick. Okay.
Sick.
I was like, yes, sis, yes, auntie. I'm like, thighs, just outfit, just it was popping. It was good. I was like, okay, girl, yes. And then when she fell out, you saw when she fell out, right?
When she fell out, to be honest with you, I thought that was the end.
Oh, you did?
Boom, there's even more artistry, there's even more show to go. So to me, they did an excellent job. I don't know about you, but it took me back to like our childhood.
Oh,
because
yeah.
we grew up listening to all of those artists from Dre to Snoop. I've said in previous seasons how much I love Mary J. Blige, and I just think that she's just one of the greatest R&B artists that we have out there. And she's just like wine. She keeps getting better with time. It's just like you just can't get enough of her. And so, like I said, man, that show was everything. Even seeing the 50s, 50 Cent performing.
Oh, they was dragging him on social media.
I kind of had the feeling that was gonna happen. So what was they dragging him on social media about?
Okay, so when he performed, he started off his performance, he was hanging upside down.
Yes.
And they were saying that, 50, has gained a little bit of weight. So they was just saying that, rather than him being 50 cent, he's 75 cent or he $1, basically suggesting that he done picked up some weight. So they was kind of body shaming him. But what people failed to realize is in that video in the club, the song that he was singing, he was hanging upside down in the video. So he was just basically recreating that video. But the good thing about it is 50 does have a sense of humor. So people was creating a whole bunch of memes on social media on that little part of the performance.
Yeah.
So he was just basically like, well, you can't it's only fat shaming unless you shamed of being fat or something like that. I might be, misquoting what he said, but it was something along those lines. So in other words, he was saying, well, you're not body shaming me because like, I know I can like tone up and lose his weight if I need to and if I want to. So.
And my thing is, look at how long he has been around.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you can expect over the years for individuals to pick up weight. I think he actually, in my opinion, he looked fine and things like that. But, in the world that we live in, like I said, people, especially celebrities, unfortunately, they're always under this eye of scrutiny when it comes to the public. But like I said, I didn't even notice no weight gain. Cause like I said, I was just so in tune to the show and the props and just the glare. I loved Eminem. Like I said, it took me back to my childhood, and I loved everything.
Yeah, and it did
about it.
Yeah, and I want to say something about 50 Cent too. Like, I think part of the reason why people might have been dragging him, because 50, he go in on people too now, So, but I do like what he basically was saying. He kind of made fun of the situation. He didn't take it too, too harsh or whatever the critics that he was getting and stuff like that to being criticized or whatever. So I just feel like, he took it all in stride, took it all in fun. And
And
I'm
as he
like,
should.
and let's just be honest, we all probably are not the same size that we was when that video came out
Exactly.
back in 2003.
Exactly.
Okay, so
Exactly.
let's just say that. Okay,
Yes.
but
And
like you,
also
go
and
ahead.
also I wanted to add, as far as the Super Bowl was concerned, I kind of felt like a proud family member, especially for Snoop and for Dre.
Okay.
For those that know their background, their story and how they came into the industry, and their childhood, growing up in California and things of that nature, I couldn't help but think that Snoop's mother was in heaven, smiling down on him, because they probably never ever thought, even as children, teenagers, even as adults, that one day they would get the opportunity to perform at a Super Bowl. So I was very, very proud of each and every one of them. I think they did a marvelous job when it came to representing California. And like you said, I just hope moving forward that we see more of these types of performances and diversity, um, artistry when it comes to the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm. And like you, I also enjoy Eminem's performance. I love that he took a knee,
Yeah,
even though they told him not to, the NFL officials. They apparently that's what they had said,
yeah,
but he still did it anyway. But Eminem has always done what he wanted to do anyway. So I'm not surprised by that. But yeah, I also liked Dre and Snoop's performances. I was a little upset that they didn't sing nothing but a G thing, because that's my favorite song by them. So maybe they just, couldn't sing that one for whatever reason. But
probably so.
nonetheless, I thought it was great. I love the fact that Snoop and his dancers were they're crip walking on national TV during Black History Month at the Super Bowl game. I was just like, yes, they really doing this. But I'm like, I'm here for it all. So yeah, I love Kendrick Lamar, all of it.
Yes.
Yeah, I
And
thought
also, I want to give another shout out because if you did not watch the pre performances before the Super Bowl,
Mary Mary.
Mary, oh
Yes.
my God,
Oh
they
yes.
should lift every voice and sing down. So even, I mean, it started off awesome, and then it just, like I said, with that concert, that halftime show, it just took it to another stratosphere and scope. So, like I said, well done to all of the performers who
Yes.
participated
Yes.
in last Sunday's performance at the Super
Yes.
Bowl.
Yes. So it was really good. And then
Yeah.
also, I just want to say real quickly, there was a versus battle. It was the day after Valentine's Day, so that last Tuesday. It
Okay.
was between Musiq Soulchild and Anthony Hamilton. Okay, so I
Ooh.
watched it. I thought it was good, very entertaining. I like both of them respectively. So I didn't necessarily have anybody that I was going for more so than the other. I will say Musiq has a major music catalog, okay? And he had a lot of songs that I had totally forgot about. I was like, oh
Yeah.
yeah. But I think Anthony Hamilton to me gave the better performance wise of his music. Cause Musiq, there were times when he would just like give the microphone, how took the microphone to the crowd and have the
Yeah.
crowd singing. And I don't really like when artists do that, because I'm like, I want you to sing. I'm watching you sing. That's why I'm here. You know
Hmm.
what I'm saying? And Anthony, he was like putting on more of a show.
Gotcha.
So I thought it was really good. I really enjoyed that. I'm sure you can watch it on YouTube or whatever, because I'm sure it's on there.
I will definitely have to go back and see it because I didn't get the opportunity to watch it.
Yeah, it was really good.
Okay.
It was really
Okay.
good. So, and then they was also talking about music too, because you know, he was, doing a little, how they do them runs when they be
Hmm.
singing, he was kind of overdoing it at times, I felt it was all right, but other people saw it differently. But
Gotcha.
anyway, but nonetheless, I thought it was a pretty good versus battle. Okay. So anything else before
Nothing
we
else
move
in my
on?
neck of the woods.
Okay. Well, we'll go ahead and jump into the meat and the potatoes of this episode. And we call this a little something called the decisions that you make, unorthodox lifestyles. Wonder what we're talking about with that. Okay. So, Lakeisha, would you like to introduce this topic to everyone?
I will. As Shnequia and I were planning for this particular episode, um, there was some news that broke about several weeks ago. To say the least, it really disturbed my spirit. I'll be honest with you. And if you do not know what I am talking about, I'm talking about the news of Nick Cannon getting ready to welcome his eighth child into this world. I am a firm believer that all children, regardless of how they get or how they come into this world, that there is purpose on their life, that there is favor, that there is a work for them to do in the earth. To say the least, it was very troubling uh, to me. And not only to me, I've also seen on various social media platforms where a lot of other people have voiced their opinions concerning this matter. So, for those of you all who may not know, Nick Cannon, he's 41 years of age. He is a millennial, like both Shnequia and I, and we grew up on Nick Cannon. Some of you all may be more familiar with him nowadays when it comes to he has a talk show, but also for his hit show that goes around the United States touring called Wild and Out.
And
And
the
things
Masked Singer. He's also the
in the
host of
master,
that.
yeah, he also does that as well. And so, to say the least, he is a furious, a very savvy entrepreneur, businessman. Um, Although we may not know him personally, you can just tell that he's very friendly, he's very bubbly, he's a lot of fun to be around and things like that. And to say the least, even with all of that he has going for him, like I said, it just bothered and troubled my spirit a bit to see that he was welcoming yet another child into this world, and he has not married. He has not spoken out or even made plans with regards to putting a ring on any of these women's finger. And so this is how this whole situation came about. And I don't want you all to think that this is going to be a dog session towards Nick, because it's not. Because we all know that there are other men, both men and women, who are in situations like this where they have multiple children by multiple individuals. And like I said, in order for us to move our community forward, and when I say our, I'm specifically speaking about the Black community, because that's the community, one of the communities that I identify with. Um, like I said, it just saddens me when it comes to, that he's not going to be around as much when it comes to being the best father that he can be in all of his children's lives. And so we'll dive a little bit more into this on today's podcast.
Yeah. So, yeah, we did mention just a little background for those that haven't watched episode 1 of this season, of season 3. We did talk about Nick Cannon in our Buzzworthy Topic segment, where we mentioned
Yes.
about him, him and his partner, expecting another child on the way. And, if you've been following his story, he just lost the child,
Yeah.
a few months ago. So apparently this all happened around the same
Same
time.
time.
But well, obviously the math is mathing. It's saying that. But he didn't choose to, share it until I think the pictures of his baby shower leaked. And then I think
Yeah.
that's when he finally, said something. Or maybe he didn't leak, maybe he posted them. I don't know. But they came out some kind of way. And that's when he finally decided to share about it. And I know on his show, I remember he was talking about it, but then he also I think it might have been on the next episode after he had shared the news, he apologized to
Yes.
the mother of the child who passed away.
Yeah.
Because he was basically saying in other words, he wasn't trying to make it seem like he wasn't empathetic to the loss of their child and things like
Yeah.
that, because a lot of people were coming at him about that.
Yeah. I remember that.
And I remember that the mother of that child ended up like releasing a statement, not bashing Nick, but it was just more along the lines of like, she was saying about how she really enjoyed the time that she had with her son and things like that. And that's what she was focusing on, just the good times and memories and things like that, as she should. So I think Nick recognized that, I wasn't probably being considerate, of her feelings when I was sharing about how I'm excited about this new baby that's on the way. And like you mentioned, Lakesha, we not trying to like bash Nick. That's not the purpose of this conversation. It's just really to kind of get a conversation started about, the effects of the decisions that people that people decide to make when it comes for pretty much for this topic about children, having children from multiple partners. You know what I'm saying? Because Nick is just one. I can also think about Diddy. He got a lot of kids. You got
Future.
Offset, Cardi B's husband. So there's a lot more. But I think that this is a conversation that it's good to have, because people have different viewpoints on how they feel about this. So we're only just sharing our thoughts. Okay, we don't speak for everybody else. This is just Shnequia and Lakesha, insightful conversations with SNL. So in other words, don't be coming for us. You know what I'm saying? Because this is just it's what we think. Okay. So but yeah. So how do you want to kind of get started with this conversation? Maybe just talk about why people may make the decisions that they make. What we kind of think about it. Okay. Well, I think for me, when I think about people, just necessarily decision making in general, I think about like what all kind of goes into that. And a lot of times you're thinking about the personality of the person, you're thinking about their own biases, you're thinking about influences that they may have, whether it's cultural or family or whatever, or even social. And so I'm thinking if you put all of those into play, maybe that kind of determines a little bit about what you decide in terms of things. You know what I'm saying? Like, for example, a lot of times people who make decisions or whatever, it could be based on what they may have seen, like growing up, like from family or whatever, where it becomes like a generational type thing. So, and I know we've talked about this in a lot of our episodes previously about generation. I don't want to say generational curses, but just the impact that decisions that were made from previous generations, how it affects future generations. And it's very important to be mindful of that, because children in particular, they model what they see. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times if you grow up in a household where this is the norm and you don't really see anything else other than that, you're going to repeat that cycle. And I don't know what Nick's home life was like growing up. So it could be a variety of different reasons why he has kind of shifted his focus on, why he feels like he doesn't want to marry people, rather just have all these children. But I do know at one point he did believe in the institution of marriage, because he married Mariah Carey. So I'm just wondering, like, what shifted, I don't know if there were things that happened in the relationship, in the marriage, that they're not saying, or what. Because I remember I was reading an interview recently. Well, it wasn't that recent. It might have been like last year sometime, that he did with the Breakfast Club. And he was talking about how basically he kind of views marriage and being with one person as kind of like a ownership type of situation. In other words, he's basically talking about, it's kind of selfish to be just with one person, because he see that as a form of property, like that person is your property and all of that stuff. And I'm just like, How did you come up with that? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And because I never heard that before, because I think he was trying to base off like biblical stuff, but we're not trying to get biblical here, but I think that's what he was trying to say, because he was saying the institution of marriage back then, it was because of that, properties and stuff like that.
And two, I think he also related, because I remember reading about that interview.
Mm-hmm.
He felt like the institution of marriage is more so a Eurocentric idea,
Yeah, yeah.
more so than what we have grown to believe in our community. Um, he also delved into the whole property thing. He gave the example of like for example, in some countries, the father of the bride has to pay a dowry
Mm-hmm.
in order for, or not the father of the bride, the groom has to pay the bride's family a dowry in order to marry her. And so that was one of the examples that he gave with regards to the property example that that you mentioned. He also talked about in that interview about monogamy. Like you stated, like he doesn't necessarily believe that um, we should be tied to just to one person, which to me is like, I'm like you, kind of like, where is this coming from? Would like to know your thought process a little bit more with regards to your beliefs and things like that. But yeah, I'm just kind of that was a very interesting, I would say, interview or conversation that he had with the Breakfast Club, to say the least.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was. And I still really didn't understand more about
I
his
didn't either.
explanation. Like he was saying it, but I still didn't really get it.
I felt
But
like he was talking, but he was talking in riddles.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah. That's what I got from that too. And I don't know if he was just trying to be politically correct or whatever and not trying to offend people, but I like I said, I didn't get what he was trying to say.
Right.
And that could be because I don't agree with his viewpoint on that, because I actually do believe in the institution of marriage. You
Me
know what I'm
too.
saying? And I think with Nick, people probably wouldn't be so shocked, I guess, by his behavior or whatever, if he was having children with the same woman. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, why not just do that? You know what I'm saying? Like, if you want to have a big family, a football team with children, that's fine, but what's the reason why you don't want to have it with the same person? You know? And I do know that Nick has a lot of medical issues. So
Yeah.
I don't know if that might play a part in his decision making as well. So it's just a lot of things to think about. But like you said, I do feel like it's disheartening, because I just don't feel like you can physically be available for all of these children.
And
And
that was what bothered me the most. Like,
right.
when I was having conversations with various people, and even just reading online, or just watching what other people's opinions about this subject matter um was, the biggest consensus that a lot of us had is not, like I said, we're not bashing him. Like I said, every child is a blessing that comes into this world. But my thing is, just because you have the financial backing, because that's one of the arguments, on social media. Well, he, from a financial stance, he can take care of all of them. And you're absolutely correct. His children will probably never ever want for anything. And that's a-okay. But it's not all about the money. And as children, although Shnequia and I don't necessarily have any biological children, we are somebody's child.
Mm-hmm.
We can speak from the context that it's not always about what our parents could give us from a financial sense. There's a time when you have to show up emotionally. There's going to be times where you're going to have to stand in the gap for them spiritually, especially when we get into them, I like to call them teenage years, and feel like we know, everything, and you really can't tell us nothing. And your mom or your grandmama, your dad, or whoever raised you got to go in prayer. about you
Mm-hmm.
behind the scenes. There's a time where you're going to need to show up, like you said, from the physical stance. I think of like PTO, like just small stuff, PTO meetings, sports events that his children may end up being involved in. The first time one of his children falls in love, has a little crush, that type of thing. Can he be present? And as we saw, with the passing of one of his children and yet the announcement of the other, it showed very clearly why so many people are very divided upon this issue, as to why we have to be more careful about the decisions that we make, especially when we're bringing children into this world, because it not only affects you, all of your decisions affect each and every person that you are now attached to.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so, like I said, that was my biggest concern regarding all of this. All of this. I
Mm-hmm.
just really want the best outlook and the best outcome when it comes to his kids. And let me make another point, Shnequia. All of this is not on him. So I don't want y'all to think, because I know some people probably think, well, they ain't said nothing, about the women. Ain't like he forced the women to lay down with him. And you're absolutely correct. There is a part that they too play in this role. And I also was reading something about that earlier, Shaniqua, about he has spoken like, he does have conversations with these women beforehand. They know, that from his past, affairs or dealings, um, that 9 out of 10 times, if they choose to get intimate with him, there's a great possibility that they're going to be and or get pregnant. And so, even from the woman's stance, like I said, as women, we've got to do a better job when it comes to who we choose with.
Mm-hmm. Right. That's true. And he did say that. He did mention that. That he has conversations with the partners and stuff, and he even said that none of his children are accidents.
Yeah, I
He
read that.
has these children on purpose. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? And not trying to get, graphic or whatever. But he's just like, I take the condom off, and it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like all parties come into this being aware of
most
what
definitely.
could possibly
It could
happen.
happen.
But then I kind of wonder, deep down, do these women think that maybe I might be the one that he'll marry and put the ring on, but they just don't say it, and they just feel like, okay, well, I'm gonna go along with
Mm,
this. And again, this is
yeah,
my opinion. It's just something that
yeah.
I just thought about. That may not be the case, but I just wonder about that.
That stance, but even from another stance, Shaniqua, maybe they too feel just like him. They have no
They could.
interest
They could.
in being in a relationship or being bonded to someone. So that's, you could think about it from really both dichotomies.
Mm-hmm. And then I know even recently he like wrote a song that was inspired by his marriage with Mariah. Did you hear about that?
I did hear about it, and I actually watched his television show. He actually explained
Yeah.
the song, because of course everybody thought that the song was a means for him to try to get back with Mariah, and he stated that that was not the purpose of why he wrote that song. The whole purpose was for him to, he's basically taking accountability for the
Mm-hmm.
role that he played in the demise of him and Mariah's marriage and things like that, and knowing that, at that particular time in his life, he had a great woman. He had, as he called it, his son, aka his dream girl. And for whatever reasons, and we know, I mean, it could be a plethora of reasons why relationships don't always work out. But basically, in that song, like I said, he was basically, that was his, I'm sorry. Uh, Not only Mariah, you forgive me, but then also this is a means of me too, uh, getting closure and forgiving myself for letting you down, for letting myself down, for letting our relationship uh, down. And so I really believe that he is growing in certain areas. He's also made mention in the last couple of days that this is going to be his last child.
Oh, he did
Uh,
say that.
yeah, he has
Okay.
made mention of it. That this will be his last child. And I mean, if he chooses to have more, uh, once again, that's his decision. I would just like to see, instead of these children growing up in single parent homes, that he chooses to settle down with one of the mothers of the children in order to raise them up. And not saying anything against single parent homes. I grew up in a single parent home. Um, However, I highly believe that when you have the right two people, husband and wife, together, that it does create a drastic difference in a household when you have both a mother and a father present in that child's life.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you brought that up because I was kind of thinking about like the effects of that it would have on the children who grow
Yeah,
up in households where there's they have siblings from other parents or whatever.
yeah,
And I just the thing that comes to my mind is just the level of stress that that can cause, especially like for example if you have a child and let's say the one of the biological parents is kind of maybe put like in a bind in terms of like, okay, well, um my child feels this way, but my current partner feels this way, so it's kind of like, well, where do I go? You know what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying, like in
yeah,
terms of that, like they might feel in favor of one over the other, and it just kind of feels like it could cause some conflict. And
yeah.
then even with the siblings, it could cause like, well, you seem to pay more attention to this sibling than me, so what's
Hmm.
up with that? You know what I'm saying? I mean, just that kind of just comes to my mind.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And even issues of being abandoned. I think
Right.
that
Right.
um, abandonment issues are very, very real, especially for a lot of children who have grown up in single um, parent home, or even if the parents are trying their best to even parent cohesively, even in a co-ed, in a co-ed type of um, situation. So even that are other issues that um, I pray and hope that his children do not encounter. And even when me and you were speaking earlier this week, another issue that came to mind, God forbids that he passes and he's not married. And, because he has all these businesses and his brand and so on and so forth, how does that, um, how does those finances, how does those organizations, those his companies, how does he go about splitting them with his kids? Because as we know, the passing of a loved one, it can get pretty messy
Mm-hmm.
in terms of dividing up assets and things like that. I mean, we see it all the time in various contexts. And so that's even another um, problem and or issue, that I hope that someone, he has someone in his life, that is bringing all of this, to his attention, and so that he can correct it, and just get in better standing, better, positioning when it comes
Mm-hmm.
to raising his children.
Mm-hmm. And then I also just, this isn't kind of really related to what we're talking about now, but just thinking about like when we were talking about the decisions, why people make the decisions that they make. And
Hmm.
I kind of wonder also, if people's decisions, to have multiple children with multiple partners, if that has something to do with maybe something that they're lacking inside that they want to fulfill, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Through these children. Like, I don't know. Like, to me, it seems like there might be some emptiness there, and you feel like, okay, well, you know, again, my opinion, you know, if you're having children, you know, this is someone who needs me, you know what I'm saying? I may not have felt like I was wanted, like you were saying, abandoned or needed when I was, you know, younger or whatever. So I'm gonna make sure that I don't make that same mistake, or that doesn't happen to my children. So I'm going to continue to do this. Or maybe it did happen with some of the children you have, and you're like, you know what, I'm gonna keep having children with other people until I get it right. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's, to me, just all types of things come into play with that. Because I just really think there must be like maybe some level of hurt there that hasn't really been processed appropriately, and it hasn't been any healing going on. That could be just a therapist and me thinking that.
I definitely agree with you in that stance. And even too, I looked at it from the stance: has he been utilizing? And like I said, not only him, but for the futures, the P Diddy's. Even going back a couple of years ago, do you remember that story on Fix My Life?
With the man with all them kids.
What I think he had like over 28 kids and 14. I think he had like 14. I like to call baby mamas. 14 mothers of his children. And one thing that he spoke about very vividly during his time on that show is using sex, because we are posting this on YouTube. We don't want to get flagged. But using that as a coping mechanism. And, you know, when he was out there being intimate with, you know, these different women, how at the time he wasn't concerned about their feelings. He wasn't concerned about, you know, kids and how he was going to take care of his kids or even his children's well-being, even the mental capacity of himself. And so as a result, like you said, going back to hurt, that was his way of masking what was really not only going on with him presently, but just some things, some trauma that he had endured even as a child. And so that's why I say I just think it's so important, Shnequia, and I'm glad that you brought it up when you spoke earlier about generations. That's why as young people, we really need to sit down at some point and have, you know, conversations with our families to learn about different patterns and behavior, and like you said, why we do things, to see if there is a link to all of this. And moving forward, like I said, how do we finally get to a place of dissolving or getting rid of this behavior and things like that?
Yeah, that's very true. And I was going back to Nick, kind of thinking about his situation, you know, because I know you said he's 41, right?
41. Yep.
So and I kind of think that's, you know, a little older to kind of have this mentality about, okay, well, you know, I'm just gonna have children with all these, you know, different women. Because like with the other people that we name, you know, like Future and Diddy and you know, Offset, they started young. You know what I'm saying? And because normally you don't necessarily see that kind of later in life. And I'm by no means am I saying 41 is old, because it's not, you know, old, or it's not ancient. You know what I'm saying? But it's older compared to like typically what you see in these situations. So again, it just kind of makes me think about, okay, well, why now in your life, you know, you want to make this decision? Because, you know, he had been divorced from Mariah for years. You know, because it wasn't like it happened. You know, he made these decisions immediately after him and Mariah divorced. Like, it was some time had passed by before this happened. So, you know, again, I just kind of think about like, well, I always like to see what people's mindsets are on stuff. So I think that's just kind of what it is for me. But you get what I'm saying about the age.
I get it. I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
More so from a maturity stance.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I get it. But it just goes to show you, just like you said, everybody, we grow, differently. Change comes to everybody differently. The way that we process things is totally different. For some of us, we're going to learn some lessons quickly in life. And for some of us, like I said, it may take us a while before we have that aha moment. Um, and I feel like he's going through that process as of now. Just really thinking through, like I said, both the pros and the cons regarding the decisions, like I said, that he has made to have as many children as he has had um, with as many women that he has had them with. And another way to look at this, Shnequia, I know although he doesn't necessarily um, when it comes to marriage, he doesn't necessarily, esteem marriage. Not at this point anyway, but who's to say that could change um, as well. But I do think about those men and women who may have a desire, to marry. Another angle to look at this, as well as um, is it fair,
Mhm.
when you are trying to get into a new relationship? Uh, and I've had conversations like this with men with one child, two, three, four plus. Is it fair for you want someone who doesn't have kids or has less kids than you do, but
Yeah.
yet you're bringing a lot to the table that you're asking, either a man or a woman to take on. Once again, when you make the decisions that you made, you may not have been in the right headspace, and that's a-okay. You're learning and you're growing, but also now you've got to be willing, for somebody to ultimately tell you no. I understand where you were coming from. I respect you for telling me, your story, but for me, this is a lot to deal with. And as a result, I can, I don't want to move forward with building a life, with
Yeah.
you.
I was gonna bring that up too. I was
Yeah,
gonna say that because it's kind of like, because you might really be looking for a relationship and wanting to settle down. Not necessarily be wanting more children, but
right.
just want to be in a romantic relationship. And it's like before you could even really like show the person who you are, they find this out, and then it's kind of like you're eliminated
Yeah,
automatically.
yeah. You're right, Purse.
Mm-hmm.
You're right. And like I said, it all goes back to we've got to be more cognizant. We've got to be more prepared for the choices that we choose to make in life because they could very well come back, like I said, to hunt us, that type of thing. Once again, have no problem with kids. I work with children and adolescents. I love children, although I don't have any of my own biologically. Uh, but like I stated before, I would rather raise my kids, my future children, in a two-person household. Or if things didn't even necessarily work out between me and the father of the child, that he be as present as possible in that child's life. Because, like I said, it could very well mean the success, or the detriment to that child success in life, and that's in all parameters. And so, like I said, this was not a bashing session about Nick or any other man and or woman that has a lot of children, like Shnequia said, and she said it so candidly. It's a conversation though that definitely needs to be had, especially within our community, because we're just seeing it's becoming so prevalent and so
Mm-hmm.
normalized to the point where when it comes to other situations, um, or you have situations like Shnequia with you and I not having kids, people are
Mm-hmm.
looking at us like, what's wrong with you? You got to be crazy. So to
Oh
me,
yeah.
it's, it's stuff like that. Like, huh? Like what? So, yeah, like I said, this story, it has so many layers, that we could delve into, um, in dimensions. But like I said, I just hope for the sake of his family, and for his children, sanctity, their well being, that as he is moving forward day by day, and working on being a better son, a better friend, a better father, a better entrepreneur, that he takes to light, not only some things that his fans are saying, but also I know he's probably even had some family and some loved ones, also offering him some advice, as well. So no, Nick Cannon, if you listen to us, you hear, we have nothing but love and the utmost respect, for you, and we just want the best, not only for you, but for the generation, when it comes to your children, that you are being your legacy, that you are
Mm-hmm.
building.
Mm-hmm. And even so, Nick, if you listening out there, you want to like come on the show at some point,
Yes.
and we would love to talk to you. I mean, it could happen, might
Yeah.
be, because we will be tagging you to this. So, like Lakeisha said, we're not trying to bash at all, but just know that your story like really did like inspire this conversation
Yeah.
or whatever. So because there's other people that think the same way, and there's also people that think differently like we do, have the same type of mindset that we do. So it's just a good conversation, I personally think, to
Yeah.
have, where it can be done in a way that's respectful. And
Most
I think that's
definitely,
and I think
Cynthia.
that that's just the most important thing,
Yep.
to basically hear both sides
Yes.
of the story. I'm always here for a healthy debate conversation. That's what I'm here for.
I
So.
got you, cuz I got
So yeah, so that's just kind of how we feel about that. So you got anything else, Lakeisha? Not
nothing.
necessarily maybe about Nick, or just anything else like you might want to share about the topic, because I don't have anything, but I didn't know if you had anything else, any nuggets.
Nothing else from my end, cuz nothing else. I think we did a good job in, um letting the audience know our opinion, um, about it. Um, but yeah, that's basically it, at least for me.
Okay. Well, do you have any because I know we always end our conversations, we end our episodes with what we call insightful moments. We didn't have any submissions this week, but do you have anything that you want to leave with our viewers, listeners?
Oh, so I will leave you all with a quote. Um, I like quotes, and I actually, um, I'm either reading or I'm hearing several different, quotes a day, per some of the apps that I have downloaded. But one of the quotes that stood out to me, um, on today, um, is by Gabrielle, Marquez, and the quote reads as follows. It says, "It is not true that people stop pursuing dreams because they grow old. They grow old because they stop pursuing dreams."
Love it.
And so, don't ever think, like I said, that you are too far gone as far as age, weight. You don't necessarily feel like you may necessarily have the support, from others, or you just feel like your drive, your ambition, has just waned. Whatever it is that God has put on the inside of you, if he's put that on the inside of you, it's on the inside of you for a reason. He wants you to birth it out. And so do that, do that, do that, do that. And so that is the quote that I will leave everybody with. Again, It is not true that people stop pursuing dreams because they grow old. They grow old because they stop pursuing their dreams.
Well, I love that. You and Gabrielle better preach. Because I'm glad that you brought that up, because that was gonna be, it's kind of similar to what I was gonna share. Basically I just wanted to share a Bible scripture, and it's one of my favorites. It's Philippians 4:13. You should probably know what that is. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And I really like that scripture because it just helps to keep me motivated, and it helps to, you know, keep me going, especially when I don't think that, you know, I have the strength to do things, or to move forward with whatever I may be facing. That scripture always inspires me to keep going, to keep pursuing, to keep fighting. And I think that is so true, because we can do all things through Christ who strengthens us. You know, we're a Christian podcast here, you know. So so we're gonna talk about Christ.
Amen. Amen. Amen.
So,
Amen.
I'm sorry, it's just gonna come out sometimes. But you know, but yeah, so I wanted to leave that.
Good job, cuz. Good job.
So to all of our listeners and viewers out there, you too can share your insightful moments with us, and you know, we would love if you did that, because we would definitely shout you out on the show. So like I always do at the end, we talk about like and follow Insightful Conversations with SNL on Facebook and Instagram. Our username is at Insight Combo WSL, and please don't forget to also subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if, like I said before in the beginning of the episode, if you haven't already liked this video, give it a big thumbs up, as well as hit the notification buttons, the bell, so that way you'll be able to be notified whenever we drop an episode. And then also, for the people that don't like to watch us but you prefer to listen to us, we are available on all major podcast platforms, so you can listen to us, like I said, on your way to work, you know, while you're working, whatever have you. We got you covered in multiple platforms.
And also, because if something resonated, you know, today, or maybe you don't necessarily agree with what we said, or maybe you do agree, feel free to comment as well. We want to hear from you all, our subscribers. So not only like and follow and subscribe to our channel, make sure, like I said, to also leave some comments for us as well. We would greatly appreciate it.
Yes, we do. And then you can also email us. We have an email address, insightfulconversations37@gmail.com. So you can hit us up there. And like I said before, you can hit us up in our DMs on Instagram and Facebook randomly. So, you know, we check all areas. So
that we do.
Yeah, so just feel free to drop us some comments. Be respectful, of course, you know. But but you know, like Lakesha said, you know, if you disagree with us, you know, we want to hear that too. You know, like I said before, you know, I'm all for a healthy debate.
Right.
As long as it's respectful. So.
Most definitely.
Okay. Well, if there is nothing else, we'll go ahead and close this episode. We hope that you enjoyed it, that you were able to gain something out of it, and that this is something that you want to continue the conversation on, you know, with others, your other loved ones, or people that's, you know, mean a lot to you. Keep the conversation going, you know, because this is definitely a conversation that is good to have, because not only does it affect us, but it affects us, our generations moving forward. So just kind of keep that in mind. But until next time, we'll be back in 2 weeks with a brand new episode. So we hope that y'all stay safe out there. Take care of yourselves and each other, and just be grateful for everything that you have. Okay.
Yes.
All right, then. Well, y'all take care and stay blessed.
Bye.
Peace.